Dancing Like David, prophetic dream, new season for happiness. Dream in nutshell. In my dream, I was dancing like David. David had a dance when the Ark of Covenant arrived. Short explanation. Sometimes God acting differently these days. We have to open what God is doing through people because it will be different. I have received this dream around 2000. That time, I was belonged to a fake hate church with a lot of innocent lambs blinded in it. Even I was on notice what was going on in that hate church. Until Jesus opened my eyes in 2018. I have received several dreams around 2000, but I was not able to explain any of them. Sometimes, if you belong to the wrong church, you don't notice anything, mainly because a lot of innocent and sincere people are around you. In this particular church, which is belonged to the Word of Faith movement, but also charismatic and Pentecostal, there were a lot of evil things were going on among the leaders. As Jesus did show me many years later, there are fake churches in which you cannot tell the difference because the evil and good grows together. You can find the good things, but you can find the bad things as well. As Jesus said, heaven's kingdom realm can be compared to a farmer who planted good seed in his field, but at night, when everyone was asleep, an enemy came and planted poisonous weeds among the wheat and ran away. When the wheat sprouted and bore grain, the weeds also appeared. So the farmer's hired hands came to him and said, "Sir, wasn't that good seed that you sowed in the field? Where did all the weeds come from?" He answered, "This has to be the work of an enemy." They replied, "Do you want us to go and gather up all the weeds?" "No," he said, "if you pull out the weeds, you might uproot the wheat at the same time. You must allow them both to grow together until the time of harvest. At the time, I will tell my harvesters to make sure they gather the weeds first and tie them all in bundles to be burned. Then they will harvest the wheat and put it into my barn." The man who sowed his field with good seed represents me, the Son of Man, and the field is the world. The good seeds I sow are the children of the kingdom realm. The weeds are the children of evil one, and the enemy who sows them is the devil. The harvest points to the end of this age, and the harvesters are God's messengers. As the weeds are bundled up and thrown into the fire, so it will be at the close of the age. The Son of Man will send his messengers, and they will uproot everything out of his kingdom. All the lawless ones and everything that causes sin will be removed. Why can you find some good things in fake churches? Because if two good people appear in a fake church, Jesus will be there as well. Jesus said, "For where two or three gather in my name, there am I with them." Despite you can find good things in fake churches of Babylon system, we have to leave it. We have to escape from it. God said in the book of Revelation, "Come out of her, my people, so that you will not share in her sins, so that you will not receive any of her plagues. For her sins are piled up to the heaven, and God has remembered her crimes. Give back to her as she was given. Pay her back double for what she has done. Pour her a double portion from her cup. Give her as much torment and grief as the glory and luxury she gave herself." I was blind when I was belonged to that hate church. I did not notice that the church leader stepped into place of Jesus. The main church leader was idolized because of his gifts, but nobody did see any of his gifts are working or not. Maybe he had a gift, but it was never working. The church leaders did a lot of evil things with people. Once a month or in every 2 months, they had chosen an innocent man or woman and started to shame him or her publicly, always one at a time. They shamed innocent people publicly, which is opposing with the Bible. God's words in the Bible tells you, if your brother or sister sins, go and point out their fault, just between the two of you. If they listen to you, you have won them over. But if they will not listen, take 1 or 2 others along, so that every matter may be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. If they refuse to listen, tell it to the church, and if they refuse to listen even to the church, treat them as you would a pagan or a tax collector. The hate church leaders shouldn't publicly shame people, especially innocent people, but because they did it for many decades, this year God himself started to change the season. Innocent and quiet people were persecuted and chased away by the leaders. If some people left the hate church, the leaders started to curse them. It was the so-called Christian voodoo. If some bad things happened with the people the leaders chased away, they were extremely happy about their sufferings. The cultish church leaders were used by the invisible enemy. As I told you in the Killer Narcissist Wide Door video, people are used by the evil to do the dirty work, but when you chase away your own thoughts from the same evil, start to attack you in your brain. Shame and condemnation from the shy bitterness and the angry Mr. Nasty. One day the hate church leaders gathered together and chose me for their next sacrifice for the evil. It was a terrible experience. It happened around 2000, but until Jesus opened my eyes in 2018, I did not know that it was evil. If a whole church against you, it's a terrible experience, especially if you are innocent. I became a scapegoat. I told you about the incident in details already in the Killer Narcissist video. They did with me as Joseph's brothers did with Joseph in the Bible. The seemingly innocent hate can kill. They wanted to harm me, but Jesus basically raised me up with a new life and woke me up in 2018. That experience in the hate church was so terrible that my heart went broken. In that time, around 2000, Jesus gave me a dream. In that dream, I was dancing like David in the next story, except I had proper clothes on. David went to bring up the ark of God from the house of Obed-Edom to the city of David with rejoicing. Wearing a linen ephod, David was dancing before the Lord with all his might, while he and all Israel were bringing up the ark of the Lord with shouts and the sound of trumpets. As the ark of the Lord was entering the city of David, Michal, daughter of Saul, watched from a window, and when she saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord, she despised him in her heart. And Michal, daughter of Saul, had no children to the day of her death. In my dream, I was dancing like David, but with proper clothes on. I was dancing and singing. My whole body, my legs and arms moved in beautiful harmony. In real life, I'm not able to dance. It was about the heaven or about a season that will come. Sometimes even you are not able to see what kind of gifts are hidden inside you. The invisible enemy sees it and using people against you. They want to harm you with no reason, but by the end, your incident with people used by the enemy is causing extremely good things for you in a long term. God is near to the brokenhearted. The fake hate church is born because they hate anyone who are more joyful than they are. The wife of David became barren because she hated the way David praised the Lord. The same way the hate church is barren and not fruitful because they hate people who are happy before God. The hate church wants to steal your happiness. As an old Holocaust survivor lady told me once, all the bad things are for good. Meaning, doesn't matter how badly you are persecuted by your church of people, so many good things will happen with you, thanks to God. They want to harm you with no reason, but Jesus steps in your life, and you will be happier and luckier than any of those who were persecuted you. God vindicates you, but you shouldn't be happy when your enemies are falling. As Jesus said, your ancestors have also been taught, love your neighbors and hate the one who hates you. However, I say to you, love your enemy, bless the one who curses you, do something wonderful for the one who hates you, and respond to the very ones who persecute you by praying for them. For that will reveal your identity as children of your Heavenly Father. He is kind to all by bringing the sunrise to warm and rainfall to refresh, whether a person does what is good or evil. What reward do you deserve if you only love the lovable? Don't even the tax collectors do that? How are you any different from the others if you limit your kindness only to your friends? Don't even the ungodly do that. Since you are children of a perfect Father in heaven, you are to be perfect like Him. If you are silenced for many years by shame and condemnation, you have to speak out. We have to speak out. This is the time to speak. This is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant, a time to uproot. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather them. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to search and a time to give up. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to mend. A time to be silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace.